Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm your host Angelika Gawronski and we're about to kick off our new series, Fighting Flames, Becoming an Edmonton Firefighter. Now, here's a question. What do you think of when you hear the word firefighter? For myself, I envision a huge blaze. I see the shadows of men and women running in and out of these flames. But what about the images beforehand? What do these men and women look like before they're actual firefighters? Well, that's what we're planning to explore here on this series. And as we kick off our first episode, we talk to some of the new recruits as they begin their 44-day training program. It's an early start for these eager students as veteran training officers begin the day's lecture here at the Fire Rescue Services Training School.
Anybody have experience with SCBA? Okay, so good. How about this particular harness and pass system?
Before these young recruits even think of stepping foot into bunker gear or tinkering with equipment, they need to learn the firefighting basics here in the classroom. Basics like getting fitted for an oxygen mask. There is a mountain of information to cover and even more scenarios to discuss. But for these potential firemen, just having the chance to listen and learn is exhilarating enough.
It feels amazing, actually. It's very exhilarating, and to see all the other people that made it and they're going to be going through the process, that's very exciting.
With the amount of people that apply, there's, from what we heard, upwards of 4,000 to 5,000 people that apply for the process alone, and when it comes down to a list of 100 to get your name on that class of 100, it's outstanding.
It's easy to see and hear the excitement building in this crew, but that isn't the only emotion running through these newbies.
Honestly, quite overwhelmed. I know there's it's a big commitment, a lot of information, and it's out of the norm for, I'd say, 99% of us.
But that's normal, according to Edmonton Fire Chief Ken Block. Nerves aren't always a bad thing, he adds, as he remembers his first day at the Edmonton Fire Academy back in May of 1980.
It's 31 plus years ago, and I must tell you that I remember that day like it was yesterday, and certainly I had the same level of passion that these new recruits do that we're talking to today and over the course of your program. It's a wonderful career, and good for them. Their best years are ahead of them, and it's just great. We're so happy to have them with us.
And they are happy to be there. But happiness can only fuel these men so far. Learning the cornerstones of the service is what will keep them alive while on call. Cornerstones like teamwork, which is an integral part of the training process.
I think without adversity, you don't grow, you don't learn to gel, you don't become a team player. So with the magnitude of the adversity that we're being thrown at every day, every minute, we have to rely on each other.
It's a statement that will ring true over the next 3 months as these young recruits move on to more advanced stages of training. With expectations and anxiety riding on their coattails, now is the time for results and performance. To keep them on track, Chief Block offers up some valuable advice.
Certainly, this is a profession that it takes years to become competent at and an expert at, if you will. And that's their challenge, is just listen, take good advice, learn from your experiences, and before you know it, you'll be a confident veteran firefighter.
Sounds simple enough. But even at this early stage of training, these men know it's easier said than done. And over the next 44 days, they'll have to prove that they have what it takes to run into a fire when everyone else is running out. Well, that's how we'll wrap this first edition of the series, but make sure to tune in next week when we dive a bit further into the training process, and even I get hands-on with a bit of friendly competition.